In today's session, I will be sharing a story on how we scaled part of our infrastructure in one of the companies that I worked for using different AWS services like Lifecycle Hooks, CloudWatch Events, AWS Lambda, and EC2 Simple System Manager. And I'll be talking on how we solutions architects can work well with the development team. Let's start this talk with a story that made us implement this solution to scale our infrastructure. In this company, we integrated PagerDuty with the developers' phones to receive alarms and notification if anything wrong happened with our infrastructure. And on that day, all the developers start receiving a lot of alarms saying Sidekick is down, Sidekick is down. For people who don't know what Sidekick is, basically just an open source job scheduler written in Ruby, and Ruby on Rails developers love to use Sidekick for their background jobs. And on that specific day, we had a campaign running that we had a lot of jobs in the Sidekick's backlog that the instance couldn't handle, and it went down. So the first thing that came to our mind is just to set or create an auto-scaling group to scale up when the backlog increases and scale down when the Sidekick's backlog decreases. But this solution has a problem that when we scale down, auto-scaling will terminate all the Sidekick workers that they are still processing and receiving new jobs. So we want to make sure that these workers finish their job first before auto-scaling terminates them, because we don't want to lose any jobs. So again, this is the problem we are facing, that when auto-scaling terminates instances running Sidekick, we should finish Sidekick's workers' jobs and tell them to stop receiving any new jobs before auto-scaling terminates them. Before we go into details on how we solved our problem, let's take a look at this slide over here, where we almost have all the AWS services provided to us. And I like to look at each of these servers as a piece of a puzzle, and our job as solutions architects or cloud engineers is to put some of these services together to build our solution. That's how I like to think when I'm working with the cloud in general. So now let's play and start putting and collecting these services or pieces together. First, we need a script to be deployed on our instances to quit our Sidekick workers. We need to tell them to stop receiving new jobs and finish the jobs they are processing before it's time to terminate these instances. And as you can see here, this is our script that will quit our workers, and there's a method from Sidekick called quit, and it will do the job for us. Now we have the first piece, which is the stop Sidekick worker script. Now we will write a simple shell script that will trigger our previous script. And as you can see here, it's just a very small simple script that is triggering our stop Sidekick worker script. Now we have two pieces connected together. The first one, the prepare for termination shell script, that will trigger the stop Sidekick worker script. Next, to trigger our simple shell script that we wrote previously, we will use the SSM agent that is running in the background on our managed instances to receive an SSM document. This SSM document will run the shell script on all our managed instances when it's time to terminate these instances. Basically, AWS System Manager document, or we call it SSM document, defines the actions that the system manager will perform on your managed instances. And that's how our SSM document will look like. As you can see here, this SSM document will trigger our prepare for termination shell script. Now we have three pieces connected together, but we still need a way to trigger our SSM document. To do that, we will create a Lambda function to trigger the SSM document when it's time to scale down and terminate these instances. And as you can see here, this is our Lambda function that will call our SSM document that we wrote previously. And this lambda function will be our fourth piece of our solution, and we are getting closer and closer to solve our problem. Now, to trigger that lambda function, we need something to trigger it. And here we will create a CloudWatch event to trigger our previous lambda function on termination. As you can see here, we set the instance event to be on termination. That means now anytime auto-scaling needs to scale down and terminate instances, this lambda function will get triggered. Let's recap and see what do we have so far. First, we have the CloudWatch event that will trigger our lambda function. This lambda function will trigger the SSM document that will run our shell script, and this shell script will run the stop sidekick worker script. One last thing we have to do is to give our instances some time to finish their job before autoscaling terminates them. And we can achieve that by creating a lifecycle hook. Autoscaling lifecycle hooks allow you to control what happens when your Amazon EC2 instances are launched and terminated while you are scaling out and in. And as you can see here, we set up the lifecycle transition to instance terminate and the heartbeat timeout to 600 seconds or 10 minutes, and that's enough time for these instances to finish their job. And that's it. Now we have the full and complete solution. Let's see what do we have. We have the CloudWatch event that will trigger our lambda function on termination. This lambda function will call the SSM document on our managed instances. This SSM document will run the simple shell script that we wrote. This prepare for termination shell script will run the stop sidekick worker script. And we set up a lifecycle hook to give some time for our instances to finish their job before getting terminated. We did a great job in solving and automating a solution for our problem. But what if I told you we could simply use SQS instead of Sidekick? Especially if there's a gem or a library in Rails that will let SQS act as Sidekick. And as you know, SQS is a managed service. That means we don't need to handle the scaling part. AWS will do that for us. Then why we didn't just use SQS instead of Sidekick? Here I want to talk about how solutions architects can work well with the development team, as sometimes I see conflicts between them. We solutions architects always want to implement the best and perfect solution, but before doing that, we should understand the team we are working with. So for example, in my scenario, I asked myself these questions. The first question, is the team familiar with AWS and confident enough to do the migration from Sidekick to SQS? The second question, is it a priority to do this migration at the moment, or the team has a different priority? The third question, how I can explain to the team the benefits that we will get by using a managed service like SQS. So the best thing I found in this scenario is to work with one of the developers from the team on a POC to migrate some of the jobs from Sidekick to SQS. After that, we will present it to the team to show them how easy and powerful to use a managed service like SQS. So always remember to have empathy when working with engineers, as it will make you a better solutions architect and a better leader in general. Don't forget to fill the session survey, and feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn if you have any question, and I will be happy to have a chat with you. Thank you all for attending this talk. My name is Mouhannad. I'm a solutions architect and lead technical trainer at AirAsia Redbeat Academy.